Just to summarize the last video I did by the numbers, or maybe it wasn't the very last one, but it's one of the more recent ones, when I looked at the statistics regarding the number of deaths in nursing homes and, well, in resident care facilities, in other words, congregate living settings, and trying to figure out the impact that those deaths and hospitalizations have had on the overall number in North Carolina. Because I know a lot of people, like, they see a chart graph video and say, oh, this is so boring. Can you just summarize it for me? Well, the summarization is quite simple. Probably more than half of the deaths, statistically speaking, there is room for error because quite a few, 3,200 I think was the number of the number of deaths in North Carolina. 3,200 out of about 13,402 I think it was, have not been categorized because somebody didn't bother to do the paperwork to indicate whether or not the person was in a congregate living setting or not. So I made an assumption to split that unknown number between congregate and non-congregate living deaths. But the point of the video was to say it's not nearly as bad out here in the real world consisting of everyone who doesn't live in a congregate living setting, as the media would lead you to believe. It's not nearly as bad, and it's not nearly as dangerous for people who are 65 years or older that the media would have you believe. Which is why it's important to go to websites that have information, official websites, and that's where I like to go. I like to go to the government websites, because that's like the worst case scenario kind of statistic. I mean, if it can be attributed to COVID, it will be on their site, right? They are always going to be more negative than they need to be, because, well, let's face it, government wants power, and if you don't understand that, and that's why these statistics are being skewed a little, not a lot, but a little bit, that's why that happens. You know, if they weren't concerned about that, we wouldn't be under an executive order for anything. The governor would go to the legislature and he would have his ideas either voted up or down, and then he would have to compromise, and then we would all agree on what needed to be done instead of him just dictating what needed to be done. Okay, but that's the upshot of why I did that video, to get a realistic picture of what's going on out in the real world. And so, and it provides, to me, it provides an understanding of why the vaccination rate is so low, because people are looking at, especially the number of deaths, and I've got a video coming up on that I did several weeks ago, but I just found it in my archives on my computer. They look at the number of deaths, they're way down. You know, we're at like 3 on a 14-day rolling average, which means about 21 people a week are dying in North Carolina from COVID-19, which is not an inconsequential number, but compared to the fact that there are 10.5 million people in North Carolina, it's not a statistically significant number. And so people look at that and they say, well, why do I need to get a vaccine? Or if I'm in the 24 to 49 age group, and statistically I have the number of deaths so far in that age group has been, the death rate per confirmed case has been 0.12%. That's 0.12%, not 1.2%. 0.12%. They're looking at that and saying, well, how much risk am I taking? And most reasonable people would say 0.12%, I can live with those odds. I don't know what the odds are with the vaccine. Those kinds of things, if you have accurate facts, that's the secondary main point. If you have accurate facts, then you can make good decisions for your life, and that's the whole point. That's a secondary point. So it's a two-pronged point. How are things in the real world, and having accurate information that you can look at and say, okay, let me do a cost-benefit analysis of my personal situation. I will figure out what to do for myself. And then we won't have to worry about other people telling you what you need to do, or trying to bribe you into getting a vaccine that, you know, by way of the lottery in North Carolina. that may not, we don't know yet, and that's what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. All right, got any questions or comments, leave them in the section below, like and subscribe. We appreciate when you do. We'll see you on the next fact-filled video.